Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello.
You want to do sleep sometimes?
Yeah? Why?
You're always around. You're always around. It doesn't really matter if it's like 7 a.m. or 11 p.m. You're always around.
During my module weeks, yes. That's why I actually disappeared last week, because I was preparing the module. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Maybe you have a twin after all. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a clone.
Yeah.
Good morning, people.
Hiya.
Hello. Hello, Kalpana.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, it's quite sunny today. It's nice.
Yeah. It's never gonna last long, right?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I really enjoy the darkness. I know I'm weird. I'm probably a vampire somewhat. It's better when it's dark. I mean, the focus is all there and I can just code. Sun is distracting me.
So we are 16. Let's wait until 9:05 or we reach 35. Whatever happens first. Hello, Cody.
Hi, Eduradu.
Oh, yeah.
Eduradu, like for tomorrow's assignment, we'll be getting separate time to work on it, or we should work after 5 o'clock?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like tomorrow we have that small website submission, right?
Yeah.
So we will be getting some time in like today or tomorrow afternoon to work on the project, or we should work after 5 p.m.
Well, the deadline is at the end of Friday, like literally at the midnight. So yeah, you have all Friday after the lecture on Friday. You have all the time in the world to just to focus on that one.
Okay, thanks.
25.
Eduardo? Yeah. What is SAS? I keep thinking SAS on every job offer.
Oh, perfect. I can go a little bit right now, but that's a topic that I wanted to cover into more detail in the optional lecture. SAS is I think there is they use the word, it's a preprocessor. What is a preprocessor? That's the reason they wanted to go until the optional lecture. A preprocessor is a pseudo language, because it's not a real language, but you write these kind of special languages that will compile to CSS. In this case, SAS is a special language that will compile to normal CSS. And what this allows you to use SAS is to create object-oriented CSS. You know what is object-oriented programming, so if you can wrap around your mind about how to mix object-oriented programming with CSS, then that's SAS. But if you don't understand the full idea, I will cover that into quite detail in the optional lecture called Other Technologies.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Eduardo.
That will be today, is it? The optional lecture.
I think today, remember, the optional lectures don't have a specific schedule because it's 4 topics in 10 days. So I can play around with the schedule about that one. But in any case, the optional next lecture that comes next is called TypeScript. There is another preprocessor, but this time for JavaScript.
Okay.
Then the third one will be optional technologies that I think that will be maybe the most important one, because we're going to explain a lot of these buzzwords like what is SAS, what is Dino. If you don't know what is Dino, then go to the lecture. GAPC, well, we already mentioned SAS and TypeScript. Well, I have a list of millions of libraries that we will not teach how to use them, but we're going to explain what they are and why they are so cool to use. So you can research on your own. Let me see. 1 more minute or 2 more people, whatever happens first. Let me start sharing the screen just to gain some time. Oh, 1 second. I wrote additional notes. Additional notes.
Eduardo, how long are we going to have access to this OLI platform after the SDA?
That's a wonderful question. I think that everybody still has access because that's why you use your personal emails and not the Cotejo accounts, because your Cotejo accounts will be deleted as soon as you finish the program. But the platform, yeah, you will keep access, don't worry.
That sounds great, thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, we're 9:05. Let me start. Just let me open the desktop number. I don't see why I don't see my desktop number 2. Just give me 1 second. Share the screen again. There you go. Desktop number 2. There you go. Oh, wait, you're seeing the wrong screen. There you go. You're seeing now a full screen, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So welcome to the third lecture. Even if we're on the 4th day, we're on the topic number 3, JavaScript. Wait, yeah, there you go. So luckily, this one will go a lot faster. The reason being is because Kevin actually helped me and took a couple of topics from JavaScript into programming in depth. So this topic is going to be shorter, and then the next week we'll focus only on React. What is React? We're going to see that next week. So let's focus only in pure JavaScript. The topics are, again, introduction, because if you don't, well, everybody know JavaScript because we started last week, but I will do a quick introduction so this slide can be considered self-contained. We don't have any holes inside this information. Then we're gonna see how to connect files in JavaScript files to HTML, just like we learned the 2 ways in CSS. Then we start the fun part, how to control HTML using JavaScript. The topic number 3, in combination to topic number 4, event triggers, are basically, once you dominate these two topics, you become basically a graphical user interface developer. Because in the previous courses, we were coding in the terminal. Now we're going to make buttons, input fields. Basically, handling this interaction is making a real website. Let's use Airbnb, for example. There is a simple input box where you can type where do you want to fly, another input for date. You press a simple button and then magic appears. You can see literally a map on the right, booking options on the left. During the previous courses, you learn the logic behind all that. But now we're going to learn how to make these event triggers so the user can interact with your code that you have learned how to do in the previous weeks. Finally, we're going to cover a topic called web storage. You know that in JavaScript, in the web browser, you cannot save files. You can load files from your computer to a web page, but you cannot. The web page cannot store information inside your computer. You can download files, but you cannot store information in your personal hard drive. But at least you can save some information inside the browser, and we're going to see that. And the last topic, you can see the padlock is locked. It's REST API. We're gonna see that tomorrow. So even if we manage to finish this one quite early, that I doubt, to be honest, but even if we manage for any miracle to cover the 5 topics real quick, I will not touch REST APIs until tomorrow because that topic is so important that I think it deserves its own day. Even if it's actually short, we're going to cover it quite short. I don't want to be entirely stressed out by the other topics, so you miss the information, the crucial information about REST API. So let's get started. What is JavaScript? Luckily, Kevin already explained that. So I will modify this one from what is JavaScript to what are the advantages of JavaScript. Number one, it runs in any web browser, thus in any modern computer. You can run JavaScript in servers, so you can create backends using pure JavaScript, using a framework or library called Node.js. You already know a little bit about that. Then you can also create desktop applications, real desktop applications with installation processes and with auto updates using a library called Electron.js. And finally, you can create almost native Android and iPhone applications using React Native and similar. And what do I mean by semi-native? Is you know that in the iPhone, the button is blue and Android is green or something like that. When I mean semi-native applications, it means that even if you are writing the logic of your application using JavaScript, and in this case React, the button that the end user will see on the screen is not a button that you design using CSS. It's the real button that iOS use for their applications, and the same with Android. So as you can see, you can create amazing stuff basically for any platform ever conceived using JavaScript. So it might not be the best language with the best syntaxes, but the optional lecture about this one is a special topic about how to fix that particular defect. But JavaScript is ubiquitous, and computers are fast enough to make the point that JavaScript is slow, irrelevant. So yeah, mastering JavaScript will allow you to develop for any platform at all. Remember, even desktop applications like Windows that you can install using Electron. In fact, the chat application that you use, Slack for Mac, is built on Electron, and even Visual Studio Code is built on Electron. So we're not talking about cute applications like a to-do list. We're talking about real messenger applications like Slack, and you're being coding with Visual Studio Code, and that's done with Electron. So yeah, don't underestimate JavaScript. It's quite powerful in the right hands, and we hope that we train you so well that you can be part of the group of the well-trained JavaScript developers. So okay, let's get started. Let's connect JavaScript files to an HTML file. Again, there is 2 ways to do it. You can, on the left, we can see an inline scripting where inside the web page, in the body tag, you can put this on the body tag or the head tag, but we're gonna focus only on the body right now. You can write JavaScript code inside your web page. Again, for quick demos and bigger projects, use external files. But there is a difference. There is a difference with CSS. In CSS, when you wanted to use internal CSS, when you want to write a CSS inside the web page, you use the style tag. And when you want to import CSS files from an external resource, like a folder or a server, you use the link tag. In JavaScript, it's different. You use the same script tag for inline code, like on the left, or you can use the very same tag, but adding the source property to find a file in your computer or in the server. So let's, yeah.
You're writing JavaScript in your HTML file.
Yeah, you can do that. Weird. But I really don't recommend it unless it's for quick demos. For any serious work, go with the approach on the right that is importing files externally. So let's see that real quickly how to do it. Just give me 1 second. I will go to Visual Studio Code. And you can see that in the platform there is a slides for today, and also there is a small project called CSS snippets, just like the JavaScript ones. Let me see if I have it here. JavaScript snippets. The tag is orange. It's yellow, sorry. You're seeing Visual Studio Code, right? I need to be sure. Yes, no?
Yeah.
Perfect. So the first snippet that I just built is the how to connect JavaScript to HTML. Is a simple page. Any page that we're going to show today will lack CSS on purpose, so we can focus only in coding. And we can see that this one is exporting in the external way. Is using the script tag source, and is looking for a folder called JavaScript gs/external. So let's see it. I have this folder, and you can see a couple of JavaScript files, but we are looking for this one, external. And the external has a constant called course. The course is web development. And then we can see console log. I use backticks to write a simple string, and inside the string, I actually write using the $sign and the curly braces. I can inject this variable here. We're going to show the results of this console log quite soon. If we go back to the HTML, we can see that also in the internal way, I can use the same tag. It's not like CSS that has one tag for the internal and one tag for the external. In JavaScript, we go with the same tag. We don't need to put the source because, of course, we're writing inside, right inside, and we create a constant, this time the name, and console log the name and JavaScript. So let's see the results. Because we're using console log, we don't see anything in the browser yet. To see how to see JavaScript results from JavaScript in the browser, we're going to see the topic number 3 that we're going to see quite soon. So I will open the console, right-click, inspect element. I will put my console on the bottom. Wait, try to put the console on the bottom. Let me see. There we go. Console. Why is behaving so weirdly today? Yeah, perfect. So as you can see, oh, I don't have an icon. I don't care right now. So the first console log is web development is teaching to connect the external JSX files, and this came from this file. And the second one is console log. Eduardo just wrote a JavaScript inside the web page. It's this one. So yeah, you can use this files to practice. I don't. Now that we actually have plenty of connecting files using CSS, I think that just by looking at this example and having this file at hand, you can replicate the functionality without issue. So let's move to more complex topics. I want to actually give them more time. Now, controlling HTML with GS. We're gonna hear a new concept called the DOM. This one, if you have a piece of paper right now, literally write it down, because if you go to front-end interviews, the DOM question is basic, like real basic. What is this? Well, JavaScript, to be honest, cannot manipulate HTML directly. So so to make a workaround and actually manipulate the HTML, there is something called the document object model. I see a couple of questions. Let me see it. I will answer this right after we finish this part. So because JavaScript cannot manipulate HTML directly, it actually each time that you load a web page and you start adding JavaScript, the web browser will create a copy of your web page in the memory without the design at all, and it will become inside the memory will become a tree. You from the programming in depth, you saw the tree travel, the graphic on the right, and I use colors to make an analogy. On the left, we have the traditional HTML document that you already feel more comfortable with that, because I saw every single web page yesterday for your CVs. You can see that the HTML tag is the one that wraps everything. It's like a container. We were talking about folders or boxes in the first class. But in the JavaScript way, instead of seeing a folder, we can see that it's the top of the head of a inverse tree. Imagine that this is literally a tree, like you can see on the forest, but upside down. So this is the root, and we're starting to make branches. So you start with the HTML tag. Now you can see the head tag on green and the body tag on green as well, and you can see that this started to branch out. So on the left we go to the head, and in the right we go to the body. The head, it's at the same time has its own tags. So it has the title tag. So the head tag has another branch, the title, and the body has two tags: the title, the heading one, sorry, heading one, and the URL list. So you can see the body branch out on the left. On the left, the title, and on the right, the list. And the list itself, because you know that the URL list tag by itself is useless, it needs li tags to actually render something on the screen. So this in turn actually has 3 branches. So as you can see, it's the same information, but visualized in a totally different way. And this is the way that this is how JavaScript literally sees your web page. He doesn't see text. As you can see, there is no text. For example, I don't see my web page. I don't see the carrot. I don't see the potato. I don't see the tomato. I don't see the emojis. For JavaScript, is only the tags itself in this structure. And what is important to know this, because now we're going to start talking about a little bit about performance. Imagine that I tell you highlight the word tomato in the highlight the word tomato, and I will move this PowerPoint presentation to the right side of the screen. Just 1 second, so you can understand a little bit better this one. Imagine that I tell you highlight the word potato. You as a person, you will just literally move the mouse and just go here, and that's it. No science. JavaScript, on the other hand, cannot teleport to the JavaScript cannot teleport to the li directly. It actually needs to travel down this tree. So JavaScript goes HTML there is a potato inside this. No, I go to the head. There is a potato here. No, I will go here. There is a potato here. No, I will go back. I will go back, and I will go to the body. There is a potato here. No, H1. There is a potato. The word potato inside here. No, I will go back. I go to the URL list. There is a potato inside here. You may say yes, but the answer is no, because the URL tag by itself is useless. So there is no information in the URL. So I need to go here. There is a tomato here. No, I will go back. There is a tomato, no potato, tomato, the red one here. No, I will back. There is one here. Yes, finally. And as you can see, finding an element takes a lot of time. So remember when I was telling you about that JavaScript is slow? There is a reason for that. In Java, you actually well, unfortunately we didn't see graphical user interfaces in Java, but Java has a totally different way to see the objects on the screen that makes it way faster than JavaScript. But because we already passed Java, we're going to focus only in JavaScript. Now you can see why JavaScript is considered so slow, and why libraries like Angular, React, and Vue make JavaScript development not only faster for the developer like you, but for the users as well, because they do something totally different to this document object model. That is, to be honest, is quite inefficient. But this is how JavaScript was invented, so this is how it actually works. And now let's use a little bit more technical terms. What are these circles? These circles are called nodes or leaves. Leaves like in a tree, literally the leaf. But we are going to use nodes. Don't confuse this one with Node.js. Node.js is a library for writing JavaScript in the server, and that's it. A node in JavaScript is literally how to access these spheres to access the information that you actually want to manipulate on the screen. And we're going to see this a little bit more into detail when we start coding examples. So let's start doing that. I actually explained Now, let's go back to this table, the glossary of confusing terms. So we have on the left a new one called the HTML tag, and on the second term, the JavaScript node. So basically, although for a person are the same, for the machine point of view, there are different objects. The one on the left is the raw information that you wrote in your HTML file, and the other one is a leaf or node inside a third object that JavaScript uses to keep track of the HTML file. So this is the last part, is the important part, is how JavaScript keep track of an HTML file. Because JavaScript is blind, he doesn't see your web page, he doesn't care about the design, he doesn't care whatever you write on the screen. JavaScript only understands what is on the right side of the screen right now. So let's start manipulating the DOM. I want to create a new exercise because this one is so important that I want to actually start from scratch. So I will create a new one called number 2, controlling HTML with JS live. Live will when I upload this, when I push this to GitHub, remember the one that is called the one that has the name live means that we did it on class, and probably due to time has a little mistakes. This one will be actually the one with more information and much better structure. So, anyways, we're gonna do this live HTML. I will point controlling HTML with JS. Perfect. And in the body, I will put the same title, just so we can know which file is this one. Perfect. I will open this one with live server. We only have the title here. Perfect. And we are gonna literally start writing a script tag. We are gonna write a JavaScript inside here. And now comes the fun part. I want to modify the text in the title here. How I can do it? I cannot tell h1.text equal hello. I cannot do that because JavaScript doesn't understand HTML at all. I cannot do, so I also cannot do something like this. It will be beautiful, but no, you cannot do that. So first, if you remember the tree that I just showed you a couple of minutes ago, first we need to find the node that corresponds to this one. How do I do? I can do it right now. I can call it, for example, constant title equal. Oh wait, before that, to make this example quite nice, I will actually make it in 3 ways. I will say call by constant, call by tag, call by one, call by ID. Just give me 1 second. Let me build this example. I will show you 3 ways to find HTML tags. Number 1, by ID, the IDs that we saw yesterday in CSS. So literally, we're gonna put an ID for this one, my title. Perfect. Now I'm gonna put a second one by class. Called by class. And I will create, for example, 3 paragraphs, Lauren. This is the first one, is class my text. I will call my text, and I will copy it, paste it. And so you can see stuff on the screen. I will minimize the p tags, but you know that there is simple text inside here. What we care about is that the 3 P's actually have a class called my text. And finally, we're gonna go by method number 3, called by tag. And this one is quite dangerous. So actually, it's not recommended at all that you use this one, and you will see why. For example, tomato. I will make the screen a little bit bigger. I think it's easier for you that way. Perfect. Tomato, banana. And just to make the colors different, cucumber. Perfect. So this one literally we're gonna call we're gonna call this file and change the text here. We're gonna call the tags, and we're gonna pick the second one to modify the text, and then we're gonna find this one. Actually, to make it easier and actually show you why this is a bad idea, I think this is better if I actually do that. OL, okay. And this one, instead of speaking about vegetables, I will plain. It will be a car. It will be a car, perfect. And this will be a train, maybe a train. I hope there is an emoji for that one. Yeah, let's say that this one, perfect. So first, let's call by ID. So you create let me minimize the list. I will keep the list open. Okay. So we create a variable to hold we're going to create a variable to quickly identify. Once we create a we link, then we find the node that we're looking for. We're going to save it in a variable. So in this case, I will put my title equal, and this is the node navigation document. Get element by ID. I will open the I will open the parentheses, and I will call I will pass the same ID that I have here. Perfect. And I will write something like, for example, now that I find the correct node, we can literally see we can see my title. My title my title dot inner HTML equal hello. And as you can see, I can use JavaScript to manipulate the web page. Perfect. Now this is something important that when remember that yesterday in the CSS classes I told you never use the same ID twice. We're gonna see that in 1 minute why. So this one is the first example. To make a comment in JavaScript is two slashes. Call HTML tag by ID. This will be called. This is number one. The number two will be by class. Call HTML tags by class. I will use notice the S on purpose. You will see why. First of all, remember that using the class, adding a class name in HTML allows you to put it in any HTML tag, not only the p tags. You can use the same name twice. We saw that when we actually did the grid. We used the grid both for the work education, for the work, and then for the education. And we use the class name, so title everywhere around the page for the small titles. So you already know that you can use the class multiple times even in different objects. Actually, let me show you. I will convert this one to span. Yes, so you can see that you can use it will work in the same way. So let me create a new constant, but this one will be special. This will not be the class itself. It will be an array. Yes, array of classes, and I will show you why. And we'll create document get elements by class name. As you can see, element by ID is in singular. Elements by class name is plural. And I will open the parentheses and will pass the name my text. And let's see what is happening if I hover the mouse. If I hover the mouse and say the name, it says constant array of classes, and it says HTML collection of. If you remember Java, you probably already know what is a collection. It's an array. So it means that right now I cannot manipulate HTML. I cannot do this. This probably will make an error in HTML. Well, hello. Bye. nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? The reason is you're trying to write text inside an array. An array doesn't work like that. This is an array. So what I need to do is, for example, if we want to pick the second text, I literally will say const second class equal array of classes number 1. Because remember, this is an array. So basically, this is a collection of nodes that they have the same name. And now I can use second class dot inner HTML and say make the text shorter. I save. And yeah, the second one is now a different piece of text. I will actually put an emoji here so we can know which ones are being modified by JavaScript. This one and this one. So you can see that the ones with the purple emoji are the ones that are being modified. And if you ask if can I write directly by using this syntaxes, for example, array of classes, and I say number 2 dot inner HTML equal yes, you can skip the variable. So yeah, you can do that as well. And let me just put this one and this one. There you go. Perfect. Let me see 1 second why I am deleting my own UL tags. I just want to see this one. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, there's probably one mistake around here, so I want to see why. HTML. Okay. Let me see. This is okay. The reason that there's an error in syntaxes in my. Just give me 1 second. This one I actually changed to an span. So if you have a problem similar like the one that I just experienced, check that your HTML is correctly coded before you start writing JavaScript. So yeah, I made a mistake when I changed the span tag here to here. I made that mistake. And as you can see, we're modifying by class. So for example, this one is a paragraph and this one is a span tag. But because they share the same class name, I actually can modify them the two without any issues. And I will make this window smaller because I prefer this one to be bigger. Perfect. So as you can see, you can do that as well. And now let's go circle back. Why I was telling you before that using IDs twice in a document is totally a bad idea. If I put this again, my title, and instead of controlling JavaScript, I will say Alvarez. And this one, instead of being a H1, it will be a H2, just to make it different. My title.
Spelling is spelling.
Sorry, Mega, can you tell me? Can you go again?
No, it was my tile, my Durado, that ID for H2. So I said spelling mistake for the ID.
Yeah, and actually I just fixed it, but thank you so much. Yes, I actually made a mistake. You're right. So you can see something. This variable is the one that has information about the HTML var ID, my title. Let me change this one. So for example, let me say this one, for example, ID, let me say font. I will change the name of the variable to font. So we can see these ones back where like were before. And this one will be called ID. And this will be font. And then call ID. I will change the name here as well. As you can see, I can change this one. How I access this one, the second one? How do I access the second one? This is not an array like this one. So how do I access this? How do I access this one to be manipulated using ID? The answer is impossible. ID is the first element. It only works on the first element. So if you made a mistake of, for example, we want to code buttons, and you made a mistake of putting the same ID to 2 buttons, and you want to, for example, make a login and a logout, and you make the mistake of putting, for example, a generic name like button and button, and you are like crazy trying to make the second button work, it will never work because machines doesn't do whatever you want to do. Machines do whatever you actually tell them. And because the rules are that there can be only one ID per document, if you make the same ID twice, you will never, ever, no matter what you're trying to do, will access the second element, the second button. So remember, that's why I was telling you in CSS. Even if CSS allows you to change the design of the two IDs, never use two IDs because JavaScript will never find the second element. And now let's delete this one because I want to focus on the third one. That is also a bad practice. Is the tag. It's finding by tag. So let's go for the third one. Call HTML by tag themselves. And this is going to be array again. Const array of tags. And now we go with document get element by tag name. And I will pass a tag name. In this one will be the li. Remember, we are passing strings here because we are not writing HTML. We are not trying to pass this tag. We are passing the name of the li, and then JavaScript will take care of navigating the DOM and file these elements. Now I will say I want to modify the. Let me see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6. So I will modify the number 5, the car. So array of tags, and I will say number 4 dot inner HTML equal JavaScript, and I will change this one. Let me see if it's working. No, it's not working. Let me see why not. Document get element li array of tags. Let me see, is the 0? Probably not working, of course, as well. Now, let me, in case that we have these kinds of problems, let me just make a quick console log. Console log array of tags to see if JavaScript is finding something. Just give me 1 second. Inspect element. Console. Typo error. Null is not an object. Evaluating call by inner HTML. Hello. Okay. I think the error is JavaScript is having problems because I changed the ID of this one to font. So let me see if I can fix this error. There you go. Another detail: if you change your names here, be aware that you need to change it there as well. So it's good to make mistakes in life, so we can solve that. But okay, now that we actually did the console log, let me see what JavaScript is seeing. This line of code, the number 58, is returning this information, a collection of JavaScript elements. I will expand it, and you can see my HTML tags here. Perfect. And why I say that this is a bad idea? I will tell you why. Imagine that in your web page, you have a header, and the header has a couple of links, and the links are also li tags. Then you have your section in the middle, and then you have a couple of links as well. And you wanted to modify this one, the number 2, for example. I will modify the number 2 right now. But remember, because we are targeting all the tags, even if you have in the header, you have a couple of links that we're using li, when you target the second item, the second item of the list, you want to target the second item here, but because you're telling the machine go to all the tags li in the web page, the code will be modified around here, and you will spend hours trying to debug. Why is appearing here? Because I want it to be here. This is my second item, but no, you made a mistake. You actually wrote your links here as well as li tags. So the second one will be the menu bar around here instead of this one. So this is the best way to actually, if you want to manipulate multiple elements in similar elements in JavaScript, use this one. Try to avoid call by tag at all, and use the ID for particular elements. So, for example, if we were talking about the example of the buttons, that we were the login form, for example, use the login sign up button. Login. and then add a different tag ID for logout. This is logout. So if you actually want to interact with different buttons, assign an individual ID with a different name. Don't make the mistake of putting the same name for two different functionalities, because otherwise the second button will never, ever work. So something to be aware of. So yeah, this is 3 ways to actually start writing JavaScript inside inside a web page. So you are real close to actually making interfaces, because the problem we just did right now is that you are still using the web page as a glorified terminal, because you only are you are writing the stuff on the screen, but you are not allowing the user to interact with the elements, because you are not programming logic to the buttons or the input boxes, and we're gonna see that right now. We skip this one, and now we're gonna see event triggers. So we finally want to build interfaces in the SDA. But before that, I want to check the chat, because I see a couple of questions. Maybe something something important. So I will see this one. So, okay, why do I put the script tag in the end of the body instead of the head? Quick answer: if you put the script tag on the head, it will either download the file or run your code before the web page is loading. Sometimes you want to do that. For example, a Google Analytics JavaScript file wants to track the user. As soon as you enter the web page, Google Analytics needs to start tracking the second you press enter, because Google Analytics has, for example, tracking information about your country, about how much time you actually spend navigating in the web page. So you don't want Google Analytics doesn't want to be on the body, because otherwise you will need the user will need to download the entire web page before the Google Analytics runs. And what happens is the user gets bored real quickly and closes the window super fast. You will lose the tracking data. So in this case, Google Analytics needs to run first before the web page loads. So pros and cons. If you have a complex code that takes a lot of time to run and you put it on the head, then your user won't see your web page until a couple of seconds later, when the script is finished loading or processing. As I tell you, JavaScript, Google Analytics do that on purpose, because we really need to track the time of how many seconds the user is navigating in your website. For the purposes of this module, we're gonna put everything on the body, unless we have a special scenario that we needed to put it on the head. So yeah, that's why. But for example, in the font awesome, remember yesterday, the font awesome, it was not a CSS file, it was a JavaScript file. And the reason that font awesome wanted to put the icons on the head is because they prefer to show the icons as soon as the web page appears. They want to show the icons. Otherwise, if they put the JavaScript library at the bottom, you will render the page, and then a couple of seconds later, a couple of emojis will start to appear from nowhere. So to avoid that design clash, they decided to put the element on the head. So long story short, if you put JavaScript on the head, it will run first before the web page becomes visible. And if your JavaScript code is heavy, the user will has to wait a couple of seconds until they see something on the screen. And if your JavaScript code crashed the web page, the user will never see anything on the screen at all. And you will not even see a message on the screen saying, JavaScript just crashed, please reload the browser. They will see a white page, and that's it. So something to consider by. Second question. Yeah, I think Sif actually answered the same thing that I just did, and actually did it in a more consistent way. So congratulations, Sif. That's why. Next one, what about the query selector? Let me see, this one is a other alternative selector. Yeah, there is a, okay, I remember using that one, query selector. I don't remember that one. I will look it up in the break. I used it a couple of years ago. I will look it up and then I will tell you the answer. I don't remember that one, to be honest, right now, but I will look it up in the break. And then I will remember the pros and cons. And can we use array ID by color ID like a class? Okay, I will need a little bit. I have another question from Smith. Let me see this one. Can I use array of IDs? No, okay. If you're gonna use arrays for classes, don't mix it up with IDs. That will be a bad idea. If we are using IDs, it's for one ID individual object that we know. For example, the button example. We know that in our web page will be only one login button and one logout button. In this case, use IDs. When you want to manipulate multiple elements that are not critical for the web page navigation, use class. So for our buttons and elements that you know that the element will be unique per page, like these ones, use IDs. For the rest, use class and never use tag. That will be it. So let's see, and let me see if I have another example in the controlling one. I think I did exactly the same. Yeah, the only difference is I actually put the files here and I added some comments, so you can check this one in the afternoon with more code and with more a little more in-depth explanation. But it's the same exercise that we just did. So let's go back to the slides. So okay, we just did the first example of DOM manipulation. Now we're gonna enter the event trigger. But first, let's go a little bit back to the HTML slides that we saw the first day. Now we'll start making a little bit more sense. So on the left, you have an HTML formulary. You have an input field and a button. When the user presses the button, an event trigger happens. And what is an event trigger? An event trigger is the JavaScript way to be aware that something happened in the HTML page. And this stage, right now, the user just press a button. In this point of time, JavaScript doesn't know what is happening, but it knows that something happened. It's like it's hearing a siren in the streets. You don't know right now what's happening, but by just hearing the sound, you know that something happened. And then a couple of seconds later, by looking up and investigating a bit, you realize what happened. What happened is if there is an ambulance, maybe it's a patient rushing to a hospital, or there is a fire truck because there is maybe a fire a couple of kilometers away. So the event trigger will be literally like sounding an alarm. You hear a sound, something is happening, but you don't know yet what is happening. Then the JavaScript function runs, and now we know what actually is happening, and we can manipulate the screen. So let's build a quick example of this so we can see it. Let's create a new one. You have a full exercise called event trigger here, but we're going to create one live, and then you can compare the two, the one in the build on class and the one build that I built during the weekend. This one, of course, will be more detailed because I had a lot of time instead of trying to build it on the fly. But we'll have both, so you can compare them. So we're gonna do an event trigger live.html. Perfect. I will make this window smaller. I will close this one. Let me just modify my. Let me take out this one. I cannot take this one. There you go. I will close this example, this example, this example, this example, this example, and I will put the HTML file. Perfect. So event trigger, I will run this one with live server. I will close it. Of course, it's empty, so I need to add a HTML tag. Which one? Event trigger. Perfect. And I will put this title here as well, so we are organized. Event trigger. Perfect. So I want to modify a paragraph here. Because I want to modify this this paragraph. I will, and there is only one paragraph on the screen. I will actually put an ID, my text. But now we're gonna do something special. Let's build a button. And this will be an ID, my button. you see a small white square doesn't say anything because the end tag is empty. So let me put literally press me to change the text. This is a long name for a button, but it's an example. So let's create a script tag. Remember, this is only for quick demos. If you actually want to write JavaScript, do it in an external file. So first, I need to get. Remember, JavaScript cannot do this. I cannot access HTML tags, so I need to create a variable. I will call it paragraph. Paragraph equal document get elements by ID, and this is called my text. Now the second one is the button. Const button equal document dot get element by ID, and this one is called my button. Perfect. And actually we'll start adding comments, so this is a little bit more organized. Step number one is getting the HTML tags in yes. Remember, this is something important. These ones are now JavaScript nodes. Step number two. Let me go back to the slide for 1 second. We're gonna do the step number two. We are gonna trigger fire this alarm first. So step number two is make the sound alarm. Be aware of the alarm. And this is adding event listeners. Oh no, actually this is a better description. Listening for an event. So this is the equivalent of be ready. As soon as you hear something, something is happening in the example. And how do I do it? Simple. It's button. And now we have a new property for this one. Add event listener. And if I open my parentheses, I see a lot of examples that I can do. I can do click, I can do hover, mouse hover, drag and drop, and so on and so forth. But right now we're gonna focus on the basics, so we're gonna focus on click. You can see on blur means when you actually are writing some text inside an input field and then you click out, that's the blur, when you lose the focus of the particular element. But we're gonna focus on click. Perfect. Right now I'm listening for a click, but nothing is happening. We want to run a function when we hear that, but we don't have any function here. So before we finish this one is incomplete. This one is incomplete. This is incomplete. So before we can finish my listener, I need to actually do something when the event triggers. So what? Let me put this one like what to do when the alarm sounds. So this one is the functions. Function. So I will run a quick function. I will call it change text. Change text. And inside this one, I will say first I will throw an alert. You click a button. You click a button. Perfect. First, I want to know that I want to be sure that I just click the button. I use alert as the same trick that I was using for background color red, blue each time that I was modifying the CSS. So first, before I start coding, I want to be sure that these elements and these elements are working together. So let's complete this event listener. So first, we listen for a click, and then we tell them to run a function. So I will run the function change text. There you go. Let's see if this is working. Cross the fingers, and if I click here, you click a button. Perfect. So we know that it's working. Now that we know it's working, we can focus on our real code and say, for example, we already knew manipulating the DOM. It's paragraph dot inner HTML equal I just teach how to make interfaces, user interfaces. A little bit narcissistic, I know, but but let me see it. I click here and close this one, and perfect. There you go. Congratulations. Now you know how to build user interfaces, and you know how to make real applications, because now you know how to make the button do something. Now you know how to make text appear on the screen instead of the terminal. Now you know how to make buttons. If you want to make super mega hyper complex, you just whatever you want to code, you put it in your function. I don't know, you maybe want to create a database that connects to the government to see the population statistics. You just create a button, add a listener, and then just make a call for that particular function. And then good luck with that, creating all the logic behind that. That's not my part of the course that I need to teach. But we just learn how to make an interface. We're gonna take a break, and after the break, we're gonna do a little bit more complex examples, and we're gonna move to the next topic. That is, let me go back to. So okay, after the break, we're gonna see more event triggers examples, and we're gonna mix it up with the web storage, so we can store information. Yeah, that will be pretty much for today. So let's take 15 minutes break. All the exercises will be are already on the platform. So actually, you can if you want to start practicing right now, you can open the Git repository right now. If you have problems using opening the repositories that I have in the platform, use Safari. To be honest, I don't know what this error is happening. For the next iteration, I will move out to GitHub. But sorry for this one. If you cannot open the links in the platform, use Safari. So okay. Let's start the timer officially. Google timer. And I see people already opening the slides. That's super cool. I appreciate that. And see you in 15, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. See you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So let's get started. But before we continue, I want to do a quick detour to explain the topic that Orlando was mentioning. I will zoom a little bit this one. And another way to select elements. We're going back to topic. Let me put the slides. We're going back a little bit to topic number 3, controlling the HTML with JavaScript using the DOM. And besides using the document get element by ID, get element by tag, and get element by class, there is a newer element that I remember I was using, and then now I also remember why I stopped using this one. It's not because it's bad. There's a totally different reason. In any case, the document query selector all allows you, for example, as you can see, the dot notation, this is CSS. So instead of using document get element by ID, get element by class, or get element by tag, you can actually write just like you were writing CSS. So for example, if you want to get the P tag, the paragraph tag, you literally just wrote P here instead of document dot get element by tag over parentheses and P tag. You can just write directly. What are the advantage of this method? Actually, there's a quite nice example here. Let me just scroll down real quickly. There was one that said, okay, let me go back to the screen. Just go to the screen here. Here, for example, this is the direct benefit. Remember that when we were talking about in the example of the classes, we have one paragraph with my class name, my text, and the second class my name by my text, and the third one was a span. It was not a P tag, but a span. If you are actually sharing the same name, a class name with different types of elements, but you want to tell I only want to target the P tags that have the name my text instead of all elements, regardless of which tag they use, that they have the class name. This query selector is quite useful for that. So pros and cons with the classical method. Well, to be honest, no. This one is I don't consider I don't consider there is a bad way. This is a really nice way because it allows you to use the JavaScript syntax instead of the classical. Sorry, the CSS syntax instead of the classical JavaScript syntax. Now the question is why I stopped using this one. Well, to be honest, it's because if I wanted to modify a web page using JavaScript, I don't do that anymore by pure JavaScript, unless it's a super short exercise. I use React or Vue to build more complex projects. So I remember using this one actually for El Noticiero, one website that I did in Ecuador that was quite big. And right after that, I started switching to Vue. So this was my last project that I actually used this one around 2015. It's a nice way, yeah. But we are gonna move to something totally different next week when we go to React. So nice to know. In case somebody asks you in an interview question, you can answer now, thanks to Olana. But we're gonna manipulate the web page so much differently next week, starting in JavaScript using React. That's why I totally, to be honest, it's not I didn't consider it important. I totally forgot about this one because I switched to a totally different way of working.
Okay, thank you, Eduardo.
Yeah, let me see the list of participants. Yeah, it's mute now. So, anyways, without this, without out of the way, oh, let me mute somebody. Just 1 second. Let me see. Because it's not me, because my phone is off.
It was me. I muted myself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. So let's continue. So in any case, we are not gonna build exercises with query selector. We're gonna keep the JavaScript only. But it's good to know that in case that you get a question about that in a job interview. So let's go back to the slides, and we're gonna build a little bit more complex example of the event trigger But now we're gonna use an input field and mix it up with the web storage API. So this is gonna be quite cool. Let's see the web storage API, where it is. Just give me 1 second. Oh, and by the way, if we have time before 12 today, I'm gonna teach you how to write this HTML text. That is something that we're gonna actually write live. You can look it up in the W3 resources, how to build these elements, and then we'll try to cover as much of them using JavaScript. But to be honest, it's the same syntax. So if we don't finish this one today, we're gonna do it tomorrow. Right now, we're gonna move to web storage. And what is web storage? As I mentioned before, web storage allows you to store some information in the user browser. Remember that JavaScript doesn't allow you to save files. You can download files from a web page. Yes, that is true, but it doesn't allow you to, for example, make a Visual Studio Code online and access your files from your local hard drive. That's something that is basically impossible, or at least right now. Maybe in a couple of months, there is going to be some new specifications that will allow to do that. I think that's in progress, but right now it's not official. So I can only teach something that actually can be used in the real world right now. So because we cannot store information, we cannot open folders and work like it's an app installed in your hard drive. At least we can store information inside the browser itself. And we have two methods. Number one, local storage, that allows you to save information for basically forever, until or unless the user deletes the cache. Just a small detail, remember, you are not storing information in the user computer, you are storing information in the user browser. So for example, if I log in, if I store some information, for example, in the web page, in the SDA web page, and I was using Safari, and then I switch to Chrome, and I go back to the same web page, I will not see the information that I just saved, because remember, the information is not being stored in my computer. It's being stored in my browser. So if I enter the SDA web page and save information using Safari, and then close Safari and go to Google Chrome, I will not see the information because it's not stored in my computer, it's stored in the browser. And Safari and Chrome are different browsers. Thus, even if I am the same user, I will store different information in the both programs. Same happens with the session storage. What is the difference with session storage? Session storage is literally, as the name says, it's designed for a session. It means that you will keep the information of the user until he closes the tab or the browser. So it's ideal for a login. As you probably have used the websites a lot of times, a login, and for some reason, you need to reload the page because maybe it's so slow or something happens. You reload the page and you don't need to log in again in a website that is well built, because you keep the session information until he closes the window. But if he closes the browser and enters the next day, you need to log in again. So this is session storage. For more information, you can learn about the web storage API in that link. And let me open the chat. Okay, this is a nice question that Lucas just wrote. So, okay, if we cannot store information in the hard drive directly and the browser, and we store information in the browser, where do the browser store this information? And this is if it's stored in the hard drive or the database. So this is a beautiful question. Thank you, Lucas, for that. When you buy a new computer, either it's Windows, Linux, Mac, or whatever, it always comes with a browser by default, because basically a computer that cannot connect to the internet right now is a paperweight. So you always have a computer. Even if you actually download Chrome as your preferred browser, you need to use Safari or Internet Explorer to do that. And when you download Chrome, you actually run an install process. So Google Chrome goes to your application folder or program files in Windows. And inside that folder, they store that kind of information, the information from local storage. So your web page cannot store information in the hard drive of the user, but can store it in the browser. And the browser, in fact, is an application that is inside the hard drive. So it's a middleman. You cannot access the Windows folders or the Mac folders directly from the browser, but you can store information in the web browser. And because the web browser is an application installed inside the computer, that's the one that can actually store information in the hard drive.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, Wale.
Well, nice question. Thank you so much for that one. And there is a small caveat as well. You can only store 5 megabytes of information. That may be seen in this day and age super small when you actually have a SD card that the size of a thumb that can store 32 gigabytes. So that's the reason I put that picture. So why we can store only 5 megabytes? With that, we cannot store even a song. We cannot download. We cannot store a video. We cannot store even a couple of images. Will already take all that space. Local storage is not designed to actually store this kind of information. It's designed to store text information. If, for example, if you want to store the profile picture of a user so you can use it later, you store it in your computer servers, and instead of trying to store a copy of that image in the user web browser, you just store the link to the picture itself, so you can open it. The user can open it later. So 5 megabytes for storing text information is quite a lot, to be honest. Remember, if you want to save a reference for an image, you cannot save the image, but you can literally store the image in a server, in a web server, and copy the link and store the link, and can achieve the same result for the end user at the end. So yeah, that's web storage. And let's build an example of this one, because this one is quite cool, actually.
Sorry, Eduardo, can I ask a question about storage quickly? In terms of the browser cache, because we obviously, some of us had that issue with Firebase where some of the data would be kept in cache.
Yeah.
Is that the browser saying that I'm going to keep this information in case you visit the next time? And if that's the case, is there a way, if we create a website, to not allow the browser to cache data if it's a website that we're going to be changing a lot?
Nice question. Nice question. I will split it in two parts. When you open Chrome and you try to delete cache, you can see a couple of check marks, because Chrome knows that one thing is the website information. I mean, the text, the images, and something separate is the local storage. So Google Chrome allows you to break it down. When you want to delete the cache, it allows you to either keep the local storage or delete everything. That will answer the first question. And the second question that you actually ask is about caching. And there is a topic called, the topic that you're asking is called cache busting. Let me just write it down here. Cache busting or bursting. So the term you're looking for is cache busting or bursting, that is trying to protect your own website from the cache, so you don't have the problem that, hey, I upload changes and I don't see it. Okay, next week we're gonna start learning React. We are not gonna use React alone. We are gonna use it with a technology called Webpack. Webpack is another topic that I want to cover more into detail in the optional lectures. Well, let me do a super mega quick explanation of Webpack without getting super off topic. Webpack allows you to organize your files, compile Sass into normal CSS, compile TypeScript into normal JavaScript, and so on and so forth, and multiple other tasks. Webpack does a lot, including one of these many features that Webpack has is a cache validator. So something cool. The reason that your the Firebase was catching the information, your browser was catching your Firebase information, is because you were uploading index.html all the time. If you actually, for example, if you wanted to make the changes, if you copy your website index.html and you change it to index2.html, you will see the changes right away. But that will change the link, right? That's something that we don't want to. But imagine that you're working on React. Your HTML page is 100% empty because you are going to work with pure JavaScript files, and you don't. And you can use index. Your index.html page will be 100% empty, and there's only one link only one line of code to the React file. And the React file at the same time is like the style CSS file that I teach you yesterday. It doesn't have the code, the CSS code, it just pointed to another files. So with that in mind, Webpack creates something super cool for you. Each time that you modify your code in React, it actually renames your files. For example, let me say that you are creating the file button React. You save it in Visual Studio Code as button.react. But behind the scenes, Webpack is actually creating button.monday 11 o'clock 6 seconds blah 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 dot React, and it changes all the file names for you. And when you upload the website to Firebase, you will never have the problem with the cache, because behind the scenes, Webpack is changing all the names that it can change, and the index is kept intact. So you don't lose you don't need to rename the files by hand. Webpack does for you. So that's a nice trick to beat the cache. But nothing is perfect, by the way. Sometimes it even fails. But that will answer your second part of the question.
Thank you.
No problem. We're gonna go into detail into what is Webpack and all his features in an optional lecture, because in the React part, we are gonna focus only on Webpack for React, but Webpack can do a lot of the stuff. It's super complex to use, but it's a super powerful tool. So yeah, that's why I don't want to go into detail right now. I leave that as an optional one. So again, we were here and we were talking about the limitation of 5 megabytes, and I want to stress once again, 5 megabytes is designed on purpose, because imagine that you browse 200 websites each day, and I'm not joking. If you open your website's history, you will probably see 200 websites, different websites at the same time. Imagine if each one allows you to store 1 gigabyte of information. Your hard drive will fill up quite quickly. So the limit of 5 megabytes is not a stupid choice. It's actually an intelligent choice when you start thinking about how many websites will try to abuse of this power if the browser don't put a limit on this one. So if you want to store an image, you don't store an image. You store the image on a server and just store the link into that. So well, let's start making a quick example, shall we? Again, you have the exercise here, the complete exercise here, but we're gonna build one from scratch here so we can see it in real time and start making mistakes in real time, so we can explain how to avoid these mistakes in the future. So we're gonna create a file number 4, web storage, uppercase, this kind of mistakes, web storage live.html. I will make my browser window as small as possible. I will go open this one with live server. Again, is close, is empty, sorry, not close, empty. So we are starting from scratch. And this is web storage. Okay, we'll close this one. Because this one is a little bit more complex. In this one, I will use the external script instead of the quick internal method. So let me put this one, h1 web storage, and I don't see it. Hey, didn't work. The live server didn't work this time. I was saving the file and it doesn't open. The storage. Right. There you go, it's working now. So let's create an input. This is a new tag, don't get afraid. You can look at the documentation. The input literally allows me to create an input field. Nice. So the user can write something and press a button and something will happen. Congratulations, you just learned a new HTML tag. This one, for example, if I put type and I say password, look at what is happening. Each time that I write something, it says appears as a unknown. If I put type number, you can actually you see this little beautiful counter. You can, there is many of these ones, and you can read about that in the cheat sheet that I just gave you in the platform, so you can see how many types there are. I listed the most popular ones. But anyways, we want to focus on normal text right now. And we can use something called a placeholder. The placeholder allows you to basically write a hint here. So for example, we're gonna ask our user what are his favorite movie and what is his favorite song. One with local storage and one with session storage. The local one will survive reloads, closing the window, and so on and so forth. And the session one will survive a reload, but will not survive if I close Safari and open it once again. Or at least that's the intention. And okay, now another common gotcha that I see with rookie developers. If we were talking about that, we're gonna build something to ask a question about a movie, they write it here. So, what is your favorite movie? And they write it here. And the problem is that as soon as you start writing something, and imagine that you got a phone call right now, you go away for 1 or 2 minutes, and then you come back, and then you say, what the hell is this field for? I lose all the information. I need to delete my information to just get that information back again. So don't do that. For that one, use the label tag. And in this case, now right here, what is your favorite movie? There you go. And appears nice on the left, perfect. And use the placeholders for giving examples. So example, 2 points. And I will say The Departed. There you go. And then the user can change this one for any kind of movie they want. And we're gonna add a button. Perfect. And this one is save, because we want to save this information. Now we're gonna do the same one. We're gonna copy and paste. And this is what your favorite song, type text, the same. This is one we can be, to be honest, I don't know, but oh yeah, I think this is one. Yeah, this is probably my favorite song. Yeah. Now this one will be, yeah, this is all about tastes. So this one will be the local storage. Let's just put some titles here so we can know what are we building. H2, session storage, session storage. Perfect. Yep. And I will put a division line because I don't want to use CSS to design something. So I just want some quick division between these two. This is a lazy way to divide elements on the screen without any issues. Now, first step, even before writing the CSS, we need to add IDs. ID, for example, input, I will say this one, input local, because this one will target the local storage. And I will call this one ID button is button local. And this one's in turn will become ID input session double S. And this one will be ID input button session. Welcome to the jungle. Oh yeah. Let me just literally so it doesn't jump. Welcome to the jungle. Yeah. So it appears on the same line. I just make it shorter. Why I copied it before I read the IDs? Because if you copy it after the IDs and you copy it and you modify one, there is a chance that you forget about the second one, and then you will start having problems that why it doesn't work because your IDs are the same. So I copy the code before I add the IDs on purpose to avoid copy the thing, change one field, but forget about the second one. So that's something to consider by. Now I will link. I will describe link to external GS. So I want to create a script tag. I don't have the file yet, so let me go back and let's create something real quick. This will be called web storage live GS. We can close it. And I will make the window a little bit bigger, this one. Oh, I cannot do it. Let me say. I will answer the question. Just give me 1 second. I will, by the way, don't, this is a dirty design choice. I'm putting a BR just to make the stuff go to the bottom. But the reason I'm doing it right now is because I prefer to have the Visual Studio Code window bigger than the web page itself. So we are not talking about design. Remember, we have a lot of properties to make this layout better using pure CSS. So yeah, we're gonna use this space because I want to have this one on the same time. Now that I have the local storage, let me see if it's working. Literally console log is working. I have a question and I will answer it as soon as I finish this. I finish testing that this part is working. So I will create a script tag, source, and remember, // opens my folders. I see the slash, and I see DOM external. I see 1 second. I think it's this one. Web storage. Sorry, web storage live. There you go. I close the tag. Sorry, I close the tag, and I need to close it again. So yeah, this one. There you go. I will inspect the element. Go to the console, reload the page, nothing is working. Let me see if this one is, yeah, it's saving here. So yeah, is console log is not working. So web storage live JS, it's not working. Let me see why. Console log, just give me 1 second. So this is why it's important to make it live. So if we find some mistakes, we can actually, oh, no, it's actually working. Sorry, no, the zoom bar was closing. I was expecting to see the text here, but no, it was here. So it was always working, by the way, guys. So don't worry about that. So it's working. I can delete this line. And now I will ask read the questions. Just give me 1 second. I think it's this last two. 1041. The folders. Where are cookies stored? Where are the JSON stored tokens? Again, they're stored inside the browser. The browser, I cannot speak about how actually Google Chrome and Google Apple Safari are built, but remember, let me just go real quick to, yes, let me go a little bit off topic, just 1 second, applications. So let me open, for example, Google Chrome, and you see that this is application for Google Chrome, and you right click and show package contents. You can start seeing the code of course, they will not give you the entire code, the code away, but you can see part of the code of Google Chrome. And somewhere around here is information. To be honest, in which folder, particular folder, I don't know, nor I care, to be honest. But yeah, it's storing the app itself. Now I have another question. If you inspect the browser and go to application, you can see the details of local storage. Oh, thank you, Suda. That's a nice information. So yeah, Lee, I don't know where the information is stored in the hard drive perfectly, but if you want to explore the information, follow Suda's advice that go to the inspect and go to the session in local storage. So thank you so for that one, Suda. Thank you so much. I think that yesterday you told me about the column gap, so thank you again. So let's go back to the coding part. First, remember, we need to get the elements. So step one, sorry, get elements, HTML elements. So we are quite specific where we are getting. I will sell this, for example, input local. Let's keep the same names. It's not, by the way, it's not obligatory to have this name here be the same here. I can actually call this, for example, hello, and hello equals document get element by ID input local. But you probably realize that it's way better to actually this name to match, because this is what we're trying to refer to a particular element. So okay, I have the input local. Now I have the input session document get element by ID input session. There we go. Let me see. Const button local. Well, let me organize a little bit better. This one are related to the local, and this one are related to the button. So button local equal document. And you can see that the machine is throwing errors like crazy right now because I have a constant undeclared. So document get element by ID, get element by ID, button local here, save. And yes, let me this one make wider because this one is the start of the show. So this one is the one that needs to be big. Button session equal document get element by ID, and this will be copy paste. There you go. So first step is done. Second step is to add the event listener, so we can know when this something is happening. Event listener. So yeah,
There is a
go ahead.
typo.
Sorry, what?
Line 3 document spelling mistake.
Ah, okay. Let me see. Thank you so much again. So copy here.
Line 3 here. Yeah.
Which one?
Line 3 in the web storage live.js.
Ah, get element get. Oh yes, you're right. Thank you so much. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, the plugin is fixed. Yeah, thank you so much. So now let's go back and we're gonna add the button local. Add event listener. Click event. We don't have a function, but we're gonna call a function save information. Now I'm gonna create the function. I will do the same here. Add event listener. Click, and I will use the same function save information. And probably you are start suspecting about something, and if not, don't worry, I will explain it in a second. I will create this function save information. Function save information. There you go. And something I told my mentees during the IP project is, if you hear the word save, it's probably in somewhere in the code a word load. If you hear the word read, it's probably in some part of the code you need to use the write. So in this case, we're definitely gonna need load information, because each time that I open the browser, I need to tell the browser, hey, open the information that I stored in the local storage to show it to the user. So even if we are not gonna code it right now, I want to have the placeholder here, just to know each time that you write the word save, you probably need a function to load, and so on and so forth. Each time that you use the function, you try to create something, you probably also need to create a function to delete something. So okay, we're gonna write the function, and you realize something. Okay, we have two input fields. So how do I know that I'm gonna store which information? I need to pass some arguments here. So for example, I need to pass the mode or type to know if this is a local storage or if it's a session one. So we're gonna need to pass a parameter type. So we're gonna write something like if type equals local, then do something. If type is equal session. By the way, this is the else. Just in case you get confused. Session, then do something else. I know I'm writing super bad, but I don't care. But basically, if we say if we click the button local, we do something. If we do the session button, we do something else. But we are sharing the event listener. So how do we pass an argument here inside the event listener? If you try to do this, this will not work at all. And let me show you that that doesn't work by deleting this one. And I will do alert. Hi, you choose type, and then comma, and the type itself. Or no, let me use console log. Yeah, console log. Let me be more organized. Console log. So we are trying to do a console log and see which type I just pressed. So I will do this one. This will not work, by the way. Remember, this doesn't work. I just want to show you that doesn't work because I don't want that you repeat the same mistake. So for example, I will put here local and here session. And there's a small chance that this may actually work and this will be super weird. Ah, this is what is happening. If you try to pass a function here, like that, what is happening is not that it's not waiting for an event to trigger. It's running the function itself. So if what you're doing here right now, let me just copy it 1 second. I think I can minimize this one already. I can focus only on the JavaScript part. Let me close this one and focus on this one. So let's see what is happening. It's literally running the function. It's not waiting. It's not waiting for the event listener. If I pass an argument like this, the function will run immediately. So it's basically the same that let me go back. Let me save, disappear. It's the equivalent of literally putting here. So how do I pass an argument? Now, this is why Kevin was teaching about arrow functions. This is how you actually do it. This is a special syntax. So let's see it. You create an empty. You cannot run. If you pass the variable like that, it will run immediately. We don't want that. For JavaScript is that you're trying to call the function itself. No, we want to run we want to call a function. We want to call a function instead of running it right now. So we're going to create an anonymous function that is parentheses, the arrow function, and here we put the parentheses, in lower cases, and now we can put this save local. And look that if I save, doesn't run at all. This one will work, and I will do the same with the other one. There you go. No, I actually want to write it, so we go line by line. So remember, if you want to pass a function that actually needs arguments, you create a, let me add a lot of space on purpose so you can see it better. I add parentheses, arrow, that's what is called arrow functions. And then inside this code, we call the function itself. Sorry, and then you call save information, and I pass the session. And I know that you have a coding missions related to this one. So now that you hear this explanation, you can go back and try again with callbacks. This is a callback basically, and we're gonna see that and more into detail tomorrow with REST APIs. I don't want to go into that complex topics today. But in any case, now we can actually see this button working. So let me press this button. I choose local, nice. And if I press this one, it works in session. So it's starting to work, quite nice. Now, what to do next? Well, now we need to get information from these inputs fields. So we can store the information from the user, because I want to write here, I don't want to write the depart anymore. I changed my favorite movie, and now it's the arrival. So I want to store this information. How do I do it? Inside this function, we already know that this function can work with these two elements at the same time. So we are gonna start making the if statement. I know that this is a little bit dirty. You can use a switch statement, but I want to do something quickly just because my focus right now is not writing nice JavaScript. My focus right now is to teach you the web storage API. So if type equals local, I want to tell the machine local storage dot set item, and this is basically a hash map in Java or an object in JavaScript. So I pass a key and a value. What is the key? The key is the name of the variable that you're gonna store in the browser. In this case, we're talking about movies. So my key will be called movie. And the second argument is the value. You can see here the information. Key has to be a string and value needs to be a string. So the key is the name of the variable that I want to store in my browser. And the value is the value itself, the name of the movie in this case. So what is the name of my movie is input local dot value dot value. I think this one. No, let me just 1 second. Input dot text. Okay, I want to first, before I code this one, I want to actually see the name, the how to access this information. I will put input local dot. And it was actually value, not value. I really thought that it was values. Let me see. Let me see if it's this one. In any case, let me see. I wrote this one. Save. It's not working. So yeah, it's not that one. It's inner text. Maybe it's this one. No, it's not working. Let me see if one is calling something. Console. Hello. So this one is working. So let me see that one. No, okay. Let me just go real quickly in the solution that I just wrote before, just to know that particular one. It's in the storage. This one is input value, local get item movies. That's input value, session input. Yeah, it's value, local input value. Let me see what is not working. Yeah. In the storage live. Okay, let me reload the page. Let me go to my, let me just this one. So, okay, input local. Oh, okay, duh. I am not logging anything. There's another gotcha. Remember, if you want to see something in the console, you need to use console log. So yeah, that was a mistake on my part. Save, and I cannot find the variable. Let me just make this window a little bit smaller. Save information. And save information is this one. Tape console log. I will delete this one.
It's input local, I think, the variable name.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The variable name you have defined is input local, and you are using local input.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're right. Input local. So let me save it. Just 1 second. And save it. Yeah, there you go. So this is how you get the value from the input field. And thank you so much. So now let's write the code. If type equal local, then local storage set item. My key will be movie because this is this information I want to store. The name of the variable that I want to store, and then we go with input local dot value, and there you go. This will actually save it. And if the other one is type, I know that I can use else, but to be honest, this looks a little bit cleaner in my personal taste. But feel free to use else, by the way. Now it's not, instead of local storage, I will use session storage dot set item. I don't want to save the movie, I want to save the song. And instead of the input local, I will use input session dot value. So okay, this is supposed to be working. Let me put this one a little bit over. So now it's working. I'm gonna put the movie, for example, The Arrival. And this one, welcome to the jungle. Now we have the space to welcome to the jungle. I will save as again. I can press multiple times just to be sure. I will reload the page. And of course, nothing is happening. Why is not restoring? Because the load information function is empty. Plus, nobody's calling it. So first of all, let's call the function each time that we reload the page. Console log load info using web storage. There you go. Nothing is happening because we are not calling the function, so we need to call the function. Let's put it here at the end. Call the load as soon as we can. Load information. So we know that it's loading the information. Perfect. I will keep this one until the code is complete. So how do we load the information? Quite simple. Local storage dot get item. And remember, we are getting this. We want to this name. We don't want to pass the information because we don't know what information is probably stored 1 week ahead. We only need the name of the variable. So in this case, movie. Perfect. And we also need local storage, session storage. Dot get item. And I will say movie and song. But nothing is happening. Again, computers don't do what you want to do. Computers do what you actually tell them to do. You're only telling them to load the information, but you never told them where to put it. So I can either create a new p tag just to write information, or I can literally just use the same input. So in this case, I will use the same input, and I will put input dot inner HTML equal local storage.html. And we're gonna see later if it's working or not. Don't worry. Session storage. Sorry, let me see this one. Input session dot inner HTML equal storage. Let me try it. I think it's inner text instead of inner this one. Let me save it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Save it. This one ABC. And reload the page. It's not working. Let me do the console log with the local storage to see if it's if this one is storing information. So yeah, it's loading the QWERTY one. Let's see what is not working in the input local. Just give me 1 second. Equal inner HTML, inner HTML.
It should be value.
Yeah, I think it's
input local. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just give me 1 second. In live input value. Oh yeah, it's value. Yes, you're right. It's value instead. No, wait, value. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's value. There you go. Sorry, that was a mistake on my part. And you can see that we have the information. So for example, in this one is Firewall movie, the rivals, save. And in this one, I will put fabric sound. No, break it the habit. I think it's there you go. One. Now let me reload the page. Let me close the console. Let me reload the page, and both are working. Perfect. I will copy the link. I will close Safari. Quit Safari. I will open Safari again. I will paste the link, and if everything goes well, only this one survives, because the local one will survive until the cache is clean. This one will survive only until you close the browser. And remember, I will literally open Google Chrome right now. Google Chrome. I will put it on the right. There you go. I will put it on the right. I will paste the link. And even the rival doesn't appear here. Remember, local storage is bound to the browser window, and Safari is one browser, and Google Chrome is a totally different application. So they don't share the same information. In fact, I can write here, for example, hello, save, and goodbye. And if I reload, nothing happening. These two applications are totally separated. So if you want to store information that goes across the browser, then you need to store it in the database. So perfect. With that out of that, we actually finish our class today on time. Tomorrow we're gonna focus on the REST API. Yeah, tomorrow we're gonna focus on the REST API. And now let's see what to learn next.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you need to save it in variables inside the load method? Do you need to save, if you just remove the variables, will it work?
Can you go speak a little bit louder because I barely hear you, Sif?
Did you need to save it in variables in the load method? If you just go back to it.
Yeah, let me put the load method. Just wait 1 second. The mouse here. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You mean something like that? Let me see if I think I understand. Is
okay. I thought this is a variable input local dot value equals.
Yeah. Let me see. Loaded info equal. If you want to be more organized, yes, this is a nice recommendation, by the way, Sif. And then do that. It's the same, but it's much more organized if you use the constant one. So yeah.
Okay.
But I just did it super quickly because this is a quick demo. Perfect. So what to do next? First of all, I want you to. You already saw the input and saw the button, and you have in the HTML plus CSS cheat sheet. You have the tags for the radio, for the check and the select and the option, and you can see that there is a lot of information about that. And you can also open the double. Let me write it here. Let me write here the instructions. Check tags in the sheet, and learn more about them by using the reference. I will put this one. I will put it. I will design pretty later. So yeah, please check the tags in the sheet and learn more about how to use them using the DoubleTree reference. And the DoubleTree reference is the link that is below each tab in that particular file, so you can see how to create the files. Now, what's next? I will upload this video, of course, as soon as we finish, and tomorrow we're gonna do a live session before for creating a super quick project. But I want to see if you actually can manage to advance a little bit about that one. I cannot guarantee that you will complete it. You don't have all the information, but you can try to advance as much as possible. If we go with this one, documents, the WB module, to-do list. I will not show the code right now because we are gonna do it together tomorrow. But I want to see if you can manage to start building something like this. At least, first scenario, at least you reach the HTML part, and then try to advance as much as possible. For example, this one, if I click here, disappears from the list. If I add a new task, this one is not the alert window. It's called the prompt window. You can Google up. Don't worry. If you don't finish, if you don't do it, this is not obligatory to do it today. Is try to do as much as possible, and tomorrow we're gonna do step by step how to do this. So, for example, sell, I don't know, iPhone 7. Okay, and I can put it here, my list. There you go. There you go. This one is not connected to local. Oh yeah, this is connected to local storage, and I don't know why this tomato here. I will fix this one for tomorrow, but this one is also connected to local storage. So we're gonna build this one tomorrow and focus on REST APIs. Now, just before we finish for real, just give me just one more. Let's talk about the optional lecture from today. Remember, optional means that is not obligatory. Your small website project takes priority. So we're gonna, in the optional lecture from 5 to 6, we're gonna talk about TypeScript a little bit more. What is that? You will learn, it basically allows you to code JavaScript in an object-oriented way, just like you did in Java. You can use your classes, your interfaces, your abstraction, you have type safety. nice features at all. And we are gonna see a little bit about that today. For preparation, watch the 2 videos called related to TypeScript that are in the recommended content. Well, see you tomorrow, guys. Any more questions?
Are you going to record it again?
Yes, of course, always.
And then I didn't look, but I assume that those recordings will be put on the SDA platform.
They already are. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you. Cool. How's everyone's cupcake workshop? Cupcake website?
Yeah. Next question.
I haven't started yet.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, Elena asked a question. When do you want to use a local storage and when to session? Simple. If you want to store information forever or until the user deletes the cache, you use local storage. If you are talking about something, for example, a login system, for example, I open my email, I want to put my login, my password, and I want to, typical user behavior is that even if the email system like Gmail and Hotmail, as soon as you get an email, the web page will show the new email. People actually press reload the page to try to see if they got new emails. Imagine if each time that they do that, they lose the information of the login. They need to log in again. It will be quite annoying. So you can use session storage. Why use a session storage in that scenario instead of local? Imagine that you're in a cyber cafe or a shared computer at work. You don't want to close the browser window and then somebody else open it and then see your email open. So sometimes you need to keep information until the user closes the window. So you want to keep information forever? Local storage. Do you want to keep information until the browser is closed? Session one. So it's per scenario. The email scenario, I think, is a perfect example. The user, if you don't use storage at all, each time they reload the page to see if they have new emails, they will need to log in again. That's bad. But if you use local storage and they close the browser and then somebody else open the computer, they will see their emails. That's bad as well. So you need to go to secret option number 3, that is session storage, so they can reload the page, keep the login, but as soon as they close the window, the browser, the session information is lost forever.
Thanks a lot. Nice explanation.
I'm still unable to open this one, clone this one, the JS snippet.get.
The snippets for me are upload right now, but if you have a problem, I will check it out right now, and then if the GitHub doesn't work, I will pass it as a zip file in the general channel.
Okay.
Yep. Then see you guys.
Sorry.
Oh, there was more questions. Wait. Yes.
Yeah.
No?
I don't know if the rest want to hear it, but I'm like, so we have a project. This is a small cupcake website, right? And the header and the footer would be shared by every page, right? So we have 4 pages, and the header and footer would be the same. How do we do that without duplicating the code?
It will be literally duplicating the code because each HTML file is different. Yeah.
All right.
But we are gonna
Eduardo.
But okay,
Can we use iframe?
Give me 1 second, Hassan, because I want to explain something super important regarding what Lucas said. That's why we're gonna learn to use React, because in React we're gonna learn how to make a separate file just for the header, and then each time that you create a new page, you don't need to copy and paste the code. You just create an instance of the header. And this is the tricky part. If the client wants a change in the header right now, if you're doing the HTML way, you will need to make the change in the 4 pages because you are copying code. In React, you create a file for the header. If the client wants a change, you just make the change in the file of the header, and each page will inherit the new design or content. So yeah, that's why I create this exercise on purpose, because I want that you suffer the old school way so you cannot appreciate React.
Yeah, React sounds cool.
Suffering at the moment, yeah.
So yeah, now question from Hassan. Sorry for the.
You know, I was asking about because I think we can use iframe, then we can just keep the header and the footer and everything in the menu. It will open in the same page. It's like iframe.
Technically,
can we use it?
But it's the worst design option that you can make, because Mobiles don't respond that well to the iframe. In fact, I can guarantee you that the Apple Safari in the iOS will show you a message that if you want to open the iframe because of security reasons, because that is what is when a hacker, for example, when a hacker want to steal information from a website and they don't manage to enter the entire database of your. Let me say use a CNN as an example. A hacker wants to enter the CNN to store information, store credit card information or something, but the database is super well secure, but the web page itself is not that secure. So imagine that the hacker cannot access the database, but can access the index HTML of the CNN web page. So they can write an iframe over there, and then in the iframe they can put all the code to store credit card information. So Safari in iOS, for security reasons, already doesn't allow you to open the iframe unless you click on purpose to see the header. So the users on iPhone won't see your header. We will see a button with a question, do you want to see the header? And that's a terrible experience. So the answer is yes. Technically, you can do it, but I will fail any project that try to use the iframe because that's super old school. And there is security reasons behind you cannot use it. So technically, if the question is, can it work? Yes. Will I pass any student that do that? The answer is hell no.
Can we use tabs?
Tabs for, that's a design choice. Yeah, you can use tabs, yes. Any more questions?
What do you mean by tabs?
We're going way overboard in design, so ask Elena directly to her.
Elena, you have front and
Nothing in particular. Just don't listen to me.
So, any more questions? If not, don't worry. We can have more time for questions tomorrow because now you're gonna build the website today, and tomorrow, at least I really hope that tomorrow by morning, the website is not complete, but at least you have 50% of the project done. So I know that tomorrow you will have a lot of questions. So right now, go take a break and focus on your website. The to-do list that I showed you today is ultra mega optional. Don't do it if you don't have time. Focus on your homework first. We're gonna do it side by side tomorrow. So see ya.
Because the to-do list doesn't look activated in my SDA account yet. So
I will no, the to-do list is blocked on purpose because I want to first do it myself with you guys before I unlock that file.
Okay.
That's why even it says unlocks on Friday, by the way. I'm pretty sure that I wrote Friday 9 a.m.
Yeah, it said that.
So, then that's why it's locked. Then see you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.